Story time, unicorns. I realized that I talk so much about my high highs and low lows and blah blah blah, but I've never really given a concrete example.
I feel way more down to celebrate my lows right now than I do my highs.
Highs are never really that fun to talk about as much as lows are.
Let my failures be your entertainment.
There's maybe a thing or two we can even learn from this, if I may say so myself.
Anyway.
So I double dialed and she answered and immediately
Was shook.
So I was like, hey, Jess. Her name's not actually Jess, by the way. I just made that up for the sake of the story because I'm not gonna mention any real names. And she goes,
what do you want?
so at this point I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I'm not getting a great vibe. So I'm like, okay, she's not super stoked to hear my voice. I'm gonna try not to take it personal. So she's like,
what do you want?
and you know, in my head I'm like, okay, this could go a good way because she's super upfront, no BS. I respect that.
I respect that.
So I'm like, yeah, so I had a great conversation with your boss, Carol, who suggested that I have this conversation with yourself, given that it is more in your wheelhouse. So then she starts grilling me and she's like, she's asking me about my conversation with Carol. By the way, Carol, also a made up name. All you need to know is that I spoke to her boss. She's asking me what exactly I said to Carol, what Carol said to me, what time of day I spoke to her, what day of the month I spoke to her, if I could forward any written exchanges that we had with each other to her. Obviously, I was stressing out because A, Carol never suggested I speak with Jess. That was a complete lie. And B, I
Never spoke with Carol. That was also a lie.
So I was sneaking my way into a conversation with Jess, and I was using any possible tactic in my book to break any possible barriers for her to be open to a conversation with me. And that meant just dropping her boss's name, lying that I even had a conversation with her. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, if she knows I had a conversation with her boss, for sure she'll speak with me. Perfect opportunity to point out and emphasize a very valuable lesson here, unicorn. Don't lie to prospects because they see right through it. Embellish maybe a little bit, but don't lie. If they even sense like a hint of lies, then
You're fully written off.
always be fully transparent, fully honest about your motives, your intentions. So then Jess tells me, I don't think Carol would give you the time of day, and I think you're lying. Yeah, she caught me. I was definitely lying. So at this point, I'm shook, like I'm taken away. I don't really know what to say. My hands are shaking. 5 coffees this morning, a handful of bad connects already. This wasn't really doing me any favors. So I'm shaking because I'm getting called out on my BS, which, you know what? Thank you, Jess. Thank you so much for calling me out on my BS, because had you not done that, I would probably still go on that same trajectory. So thank you, Jess, for giving my stupid little head a shake. So then she goes, I don't know who you are. I don't know how you get paid. I don't know what your motives are, what your intentions are. I don't know where you work, what your company does. She just kept going like that. She just kept hitting me back to back. Just as you think things were about to wrap up and me or her would hang up the phone, then she starts yelling at me and she says something like this. I just broke my 2 legs. I'm currently in a wheelchair. Your psycho dialing caused me to get up off of my wheelchair to pick up the phone because I thought it was an emergency. You possibly just broke my legs again, and I am gonna have to go to the hospital right after this phone call and tell my doctor to recast up my leg, take a new x-ray, all because an inconsiderate, incompetent, disrespectful SDR had to call me twice in a row on my home phone. I hope that this was somewhat entertaining for you unicorns. Now that I can look back at it, I really like to take humor out of it. The way I went about it was quite ridiculous. I also just learned so much from that scenario and many bad scenarios like that have definitely made me have thicker skin throughout it. Now I just somehow give less of a hoot. You know, now I've prospered. Let me know if you guys like the story time or if you thought that I am a rude and inconsiderate SDR. I totally feel you. I would probably think the same. Thank you so much for tuning in again for another weekly episode on Unicorn Universe. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell.
Blah, blah, blah.
And I will see you guys next week.